finest impersonation of a ventriloquist. As you can see, John has returned from the wilderness. I'm Frank Morano, rejoined by John TABACCO, the proper host of this program, and really, really pleased to be joined by Dr. Lauren Wright, who, in addition to being an associate research scholar in politics and public affairs at Princeton, is an expert on the areas of where celebrity meets politics. She's the author of the book Star Power: American Democracy in the Age of the Celebrity Candidate. Hello, Dr. Wright. And hello, John.
You very well, maybe Miss Wright.
Oh.
You know, that sounds like quite the intro.
Well, spoiler alert,
okay.
he is Mr. Wrong.
That's right.
That's right.
And he stole my joke already.
Yeah, sorry.
We're back together for just a minute. I said, wow, because, you know, sometimes we have other academics on, like David Eisenbach is our in-house presidential historian. He's a professor at Columbia University. But Princeton, that's like big.
It is the best school in the country right now.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
Yeah.
It's a shame they're not charging enough. From what I hear. So you've got to tell us about your book. It focuses on an area that I'm so interested in, which is the nexus between politics and celebrity. Now, we've seen celebrity politicians before. Somebody mentioned Ronald Reagan earlier. Obviously, Donald Trump, very much a celebrity. But folks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of failed attempts at celebrities entering politics. Here in New York, Cynthia Nixon ran for governor. Didn't work out so well. In California, Shirley Temple Black, she ran for office. Didn't work out as well for her.
Wow,
He is an encyclopedia.
That's
why
you should bring him
That's
in
why I'm
for
so
one of your
interested
classes.
in your
He's a political savant.
in your area of study. But tell us, what do these celebrity candidates have in common, if anything?
So what the founders were really interested in, and what brought me to this topic initially, was the fact that celebrities are especially well equipped to do well on campaigns. These entertainment skills translate directly to the campaign trail. It's name recognition and popularity and this ability to attract media attention and shape the narrative. But they're not so good at governing on average unless they surround themselves with seasoned, experienced people who have been there. And so we are seeing this trouble happening in the White House right now with Donald Trump. We've seen it with other people in the past, but the campaign skill set cannot be underestimated. The Democrats did underestimate that in 2016, and so did that big field of Republican primary candidate that just could not match the media coverage the president was getting.
So, I mean, you're not going to get an argument from me that the White House is running smoothly and like a well-oiled machine. I don't think even President Trump would argue that. But he did put together a staff and a cabinet that was pretty experienced. I mean, you had people that were generals running the Pentagon. You had a cabinet that was largely filled with people that could have been, in many cases, in a Hillary Clinton or Jeb Bush administration. So it seems like he did at least take that warning from your book to heart. What then, in your view, went wrong?
Well, there's really historically high turnover right now in a lot of these positions. And you just talked about impeachment with a previous guest. The problem here is the president he's involved in this media argument. He's making these personal attacks. Any other incumbent president with 3.5% unemployment would just talk about that all day long, nonstop, no matter what. And he is not campaigning in 2020 like an incumbent president with this revered cloak of an established politician. He's still on the attack. He's campaigning like a celebrity. And he's made the bet that that's how I won in 2016. That's how I'm going to do this again. But that's not what we've seen with presidents in the past that have the kind of economic environment that he does right now.
I want to ask you, Doctor, about the campus at Princeton University.
All right.
I had on Fernando Uribe last week, and we were talking about how he's a professor at a community college in New Jersey, and he's quite politically conservative, but he doesn't allow that to sift into how he deals with his students.
Oh, that's great.
What's the temperature on Princeton campus with politics?
Well, I'm glad to hear that because a lot of my colleagues really prioritize making students feel comfortable. We do have a lot of conservative students. We have a lot of liberal students. It's a big mixed bag. And so you want students to feel comfortable voicing their opinions in class no matter where on the political spectrum they are. And the most important part of that to me is not sharing my personal political views. I share research. We study the institution of the presidency. I do not give away my political leanings, even though I have them just like everybody else does.
Based on your research, who would you say, not necessarily someone whose politics you agreed with the most, but out of all the celebrities that have made forays into politics and government, has been the most successful in making that transition?
Well, I think Reagan and Schwarzenegger are really interesting examples here, because those are two examples of people who surrounded themselves with seasoned politicos. Reagan has a really interesting series of letters back and forth with President Eisenhower from the time he was governor, if you look at those. It's really fascinating as far as weighing in on foreign policy, domestic policy, and Schwarzenegger very similarly had Pete Wilson. He had Ted Kennedy because of Maria Shriver's connections, her uncle, of course. So if you are willing to surround yourself with people who have been there, they have the natural toolkit to succeed, at least in the natural entertainment media part of politics.
Well, one politician that became basically a movie star or a rock star in some quarters was Bill Clinton, and he was able to survive impeachment 20 years ago, in part because of how well he played the media violin. Given what we've seen from President Trump and his ability to control the message on social media and in conventional media, what do you think this means for the current impeachment battle, and where are we headed with respect to 2020?
I just don't know if we know what the White House's message is going to be going forward. They seem to be changing every day as far as the strategy on this. We are way too close, way too far out from the election to tell really what the environment is going to look like then. But I think even Nancy Pelosi isn't assuming she's going to get any Republican support. So she must have made this calculation thinking, okay, if the Republicans don't convict him, what does this mean for us?
Good for our base. That she's playing the risk of my base will love us for doing it. But I think there's going to be some collateral damage myself personally, because there's a whole load of districts that Trump won in the presidential. Then they flipped, the Congress seats flipped in the midterm without Trump on the ballot. And now Trump just, basically he called her next move by saying, okay, well, hold a vote. And now she's got to get, those swing districts to come out and say, I'm gonna support Nancy.
It's going to be interesting. One of the things that we've seen with celebrities is they often have to deal with scandals. They often have to deal with infidelity scandals or a number of other issues of not doing the right thing. And maybe that is good training for politics, as we've seen from Schwarzenegger and Trump. I am surprised, given the nexus of celebrity and politics with scandal, that somebody that didn't weather his scandal a bit better was Al Franken. He was somebody that was a writer, a radio talk show host, an actor, comedian, and he folded like a cheap camera.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but he went out like that.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, he could have 30 women accuse him of something. You could bet he's not going anywhere. Why did Al Franken...
You don't think he should have stepped down?
Who, Al Franken?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I do.
Okay.
Frank was saying they make multiple accusations against the president.
Why did it work with Al Franken?
Fake news.
Well, look, Al Franken transitioned into a typical politician. That's the transition he made. There's still, and it doesn't have to be celebrities, by the way. We have the least politically experienced House of Representatives in history right now, and it shows. They're ideologically extreme, behaviorally extreme, doing things that drive Nancy Pelosi nuts. Not compromising on policy. Al Franken actually made that transition. A lot of people, including me, think that he did the right thing. I think that's what makes it hard for celebrities. Some of them, like President Trump, get away with these things because we don't judge them like a normal politician.
Right.
We judge them like a celebrity, and the standards are lower ethically and morally. But for Al Franken, he did what the party line dictated at the moment he should do. And so he did make that transition. Very, very different from the president's strategy.
How's the response been to your book, Star Power? What are your critics saying?
Well, I think people think I'm either, too hard on the president is one thing, but you know what? It's empirical research.
We think
it's
you're too
not
easy
opinion.
yeah.
Good.
No.
Okay. No, the point is that this is something Alexander Hamilton talked about at length in the Federalist Papers, why we don't want people who they called practice in the little arts of popularity. They want wise, experienced politicians, but Americans hate politicians, so that's why they would rather elect, relatable people who are really good at the media circuit. And this is something we're really going to have to deal with in the future. It's not going away.
Well, you got to come back in the future. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely, anytime.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wright.
All right, we're going to continue with John Tabacco, and we're going to mix it up with Bill Cortez and Tim Collins next over impeachment and Syria.